Want to know the cake I grew up eating? It's called Sfouf. It's a simple, plain cake with mild flavors and a burst of yellow color from the turmeric. And I'm going to show you how to make it today. First, I'm Yumna, aka Feel Good Foodie. I share wholesome, nutritious recipes that make your body feel good. Sfouf is an Arabic word that means lines, and it's used to describe the way the cake is cut into lines, and people get pretty creative in how they cut it. The cake has a wonderful mild flavor, a burst of yellow color, and it's actually vegan since it's made with no eggs and no butter. It's light and simply delightful, especially with a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. So here's what you'll need. You'll need fine semolina, cane sugar, flour, turmeric, baking powder, any kind of oil, pine nuts, any kind of milk, and tahini just to coat the bottom of the pan. So let's get started. We're gonna first mix together the dry ingredients. We have 1.5 cups of semolina. Semolina is basically durum wheat that's used to make pasta, and this is very popular to use for making sfouf. And we're gonna add to it just any kind of flour or cake flour that you have. And to that, we'll add a tablespoon of turmeric, which gives it its beautiful color, and 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder just to let it all rise. Mix it all together. And we want to mix this until there's no more white pieces of flour or no more big chunks of turmeric. It's nice and homogeneous. We'll put that aside. And now we'll mix together the wet ingredients. Cup of sugar, a cup of any milk. I'm using regular milk, but it works perfectly fine with just almond milk or any plant-based milk to keep the recipe vegan. And 1/2 cup of any neutral oil. I'm using sunflower oil today. It works really well with pretty much any oil, like coconut oil, vegetable oil, or even avocado oil. Now we're going to mix all this together until the sugar is dissolved. And now we mix together the dry ingredients with the wet ingredients and give it all a good stir. All right, now the recipe is pretty much ready. What we're gonna do now is grease the pan, pour this into the pan and bake it. A fun way that we like to grease the pan is with tahini. You can also just use coconut oil or any kind of oil you want, but the tahini just gives it a little bit of a nutty flavor that really complements the semolina flour, which also has a little slight nuttiness. I'm just gonna use a brush to spread it all out and transfer the mixture to the baking pan. And now the last step is to sprinkle some pine nuts on top. Some people like to put them in a nice little arrangement. I just throw them on. If you don't have pine nuts, you can also use almonds. And the pine nuts are key here because they'll actually give you a cue that the recipe is done cooking. We're looking for the pine nuts to be nice and golden. So we're going to bake this at 375 for 30 to 35 minutes until the cake starts to pull away from the sides and the pine nuts are golden. All right, here's the final product. Just came out of the oven and it's been resting for about 30 to 40 minutes. So now it's time to cut into it. And I usually like to cut it into 16 squares, so that way there's more for everyone. All right, time to serve it, and let's see what it looks like. First one's always tricky. And look at that, you guys. A beautiful yellow cake, bursting with a gorgeous color from the turmeric. And now what I like to do is I like to put it in this cute little basket just to serve it for the family. So I'll go ahead and put everything in there. And you can see at the bottom of the pan, the tahini really helps to just kind of create a nice crust at the bottom that gives it a nutty flavor and also helps to kind of give it a golden color at the bottom as well. Let me show you a piece. You can see that right there. That's all from the tahini at the bottom. So it gives it a gorgeous yellow crust that usually matches what the top looks like. Now you could get the top to be a little bit darker as well if you wanted to, but I like the way it looks like this. All right, it's time for Video Matt to try the recipe. Let's see what he thinks of this turmeric cake.
What about us?
Oh, you guys come too. Come on.
And me too, me too, me too.
Come on.
Yeah. Yummy.
What do you guys think?
It's great.
Amazing.
So good.
So good.
So good.
See you guys next time.